Everybody thinks all they have to do is buy a big name franchise, sit back, put their feet on the desk, relax, and become a millionaire. But what people don't know, and they should know, is that quite regularly, a lot of people lose a lot of money, their retirement funds, their nest eggs, buying into franchise industry hype. Today on this video, I'm going to tell you why these big name franchises often won't earn even close to what you think they will, and if you aren't careful, you could lose everything. New logo, new branding, folks. A lot of changes at Franchise City over the coming weeks, so stay tuned. We're going to be going outside of franchising into some other interesting and exciting business opportunity, land investments, a lot of other stuff, so stay tuned for that. So let me be the first one to say it on this video today. If you're not careful, you can easily lose your money in franchising, and that might sound strange coming from someone who's in the franchise industry, but to say otherwise is to ignore some very hard facts. Now, it's sad that despite all the information that's available online, all the people like us that are trying to educate franchise buyers, and more data available than ever before in history, people still think buying a franchise, and this is usually a food franchise, is a guaranteed ticket to riches. Now, if you follow this channel, you'll see our videos that show things like Subway, the franchise that everyone in the world thinks is the one that they should own, is actually the second lowest earner on the QSR 50, and how they've closed about 350 stores in 2016, over 900 stores closed in 2017. Now, these were real people with real lives who have nothing to show for all their hard work. You'll also see videos like we've done on McDonald's and their franchise earnings and how they've dropped. You'll see videos on many franchises that provide hard data that illustrates the other side of the franchise equation. Now, there are good franchises, there are great franchises, but they're very rarely the ones that people are thinking of. So given all this information that's available online, why do people still make these terrible franchise buying decisions and end up often barely making a living or losing all their money? Well, I'll tell you why. It's for bad reasons. And that's why sites like unhappyfranchisee.com are filled with people who went bankrupt because they used all these wrong reasons to make their franchising decisions. So what are these bad reasons and how can you avoid them? The first main one is social validation, and our brains are hardwired to equate big numbers with success. There's over 33,000 Subway franchises worldwide. Wow, that must mean they'll make me successful. I'll be part of this huge winning team. Oh, that franchise? I've never heard of it. They just have a few locations. I don't even want to look at it. There's almost 37,000 McDonald's franchise restaurants worldwide. That must mean I'll be a super success if I join this powerful organization. Plus, the last 3 times, I went to that restaurant, it had a lineup waiting for food. And the Franchise 500, another huge organization with enormous media clout, voted McDonald's as their #1 franchise. In fact, everywhere I look, these companies over and over again appear with extremely positive social validation. How can I fail? Now, people then use these social validators and these positive feelings to construct an emotionally charged vision in their minds. Oh, honey, can you imagine us every day in our franchise? Sun coming through the windows, happy customers laughing, existing in peace, money raining from the heavens in huge bags. This is called emotional momentum. And the more emotional momentum people have, the harder it will be to abandon this franchise, even if you hear negative information further down the process. Now, how might that work exactly? I want you to call any franchise today and say, hey, I want to buy one of your franchises. I want to know how many franchises you've closed over the last 3 years, what's the franchise failure rate, and your franchisee satisfaction rates. You won't get it. They won't tell you. They're going to tell you to complete an application and wait. And while you're sitting there on the edge of your seat hoping to join these other tens of thousands of super successful franchise owners, you naturally start dreaming about how great this business would be. Sun is shining through the windows, happy customers, all existing in peace and money, and giant bags raining down from the heavens. You know the story. Then the franchise finally calls you after 12, 15 days, whatever it might be. You've been accepted. And they send you some really glossy promotional literature, official-looking corporate stuff, and this emotional momentum will often force you to miss or even ignore the boring old numbers that you don't want to look at because it's not in keeping with your emotional momentum, with this blissful image that you have created in your mind. See, all the time people ask us about their franchise idea. And when we give them hard financial facts taken right from the books of the companies, they don't want to hear it. Their eyes gloss over, and all they hear me saying is, that blah, 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 that blah, blah. And we become the bad guys trying to tear this wonderful, blissful dream away from them. Once this emotional momentum builds up, it's hard to get people away from with using facts and figures. People, facts and figures are what should be guiding your decision, not emotional momentum and not social validation or beautiful thoughts of how wonderful your life could be once you own this franchise. And you say, okay, Robert, so we know we shouldn't use emotional momentum or social validation, but the Franchise 500 ranking, they said McDonald's is number 1. Surely we can use the data from Entrepreneur Magazine, one of the biggest and the best, to guide our decisions. Well, did you read the fine print for the Franchise 500? There's a disclaimer stating they don't endorse or recommend any brand, and they don't measure subjective elements like franchisee satisfaction or management style. So how exactly are the franchises in the 500 picked? This is taken right from the Franchise 500 website. All companies are judged by the same criteria: objective, quantifiable measures of a franchise operation. The most important factors include financial strength and stability. Really? These are the numbers taken from Statista from 2013 to 2017 for McDonald's. That's not exactly the way I would think the numbers should go for financial strengths and stability for the number 1 franchise. They also look at growth rate and size of the system. So if a company sells a ton of franchises with really hardcore sales techniques, they go to the top even if franchisee satisfaction is terrible, because remember, they don't check that. They also consider the number of years a company has been in business and the length of time it's been franchising. Well, here's a long list of franchises that were around for a very long time and went bankrupt. They look at startup costs and litigation. Well, GNC has more litigation than I've ever seen in my life and is number 85 on the Franchise 500. 7-Eleven is not too far behind and they're number 2. So is it the companies with the most litigation that are at the top? They look at percentage of terminations and whether the company provides financing. Really. So if a company provides financing, that supposedly is great criteria to use. They then go on to say these objective factors are plugged into an exclusive registered Franchise 500 formula and create a cumulative score. Now, let's be honest. People use this 500 list all the time to validate investment decisions. Despite Franchise 500 disclaimers telling people that Franchise 500 is not intended to endorse, to advertise, to recommend any particular franchise, let's face it, franchises do use their banners on websites to do exactly that. In fact, this franchise has the banner rankings listed below text stating the proof. This franchise claims the Franchise 500 is absolute proof their franchise is a good investment. So people see this social validation, they think this must be great, and they absolutely do use these rankings to make their decisions. Now, I've blocked out the name of this company, but this company that was ranked top global franchise and also best of the best by Franchise 500 closed over 625 stores in the last 3 years. And folks, that's how you lose money in franchising. Remember, use information like the Franchise 500 and these ranking systems for what they are, and that's entertainment. Folks, they even caution you to do this on your websites. They're handy to have. They're fun to read. But to use any of them to make your final or preliminary decisions, you have no one to blame but yourself. And the really sad part is to see people working 30 or 40 years hard at their career, having saved and scrimped for a great retirement, using these illogical reasons to invest. Be critical, be careful, don't use emotional momentum, forget about social validation when making that decision. Now, I'm going to put links to other videos from us here, like the truth about McDonald's, the top reasons not to buy a 7-Eleven, and the 4 top reasons not to buy a Subway. You can click on those to watch other videos. Don't forget to subscribe to us and like this video if you like this kind of stuff. And if you need help researching or buying a franchise, give the experts a call at Franchise City. Thanks for watching.